Grazie mille per aver accettato questa intervista. Parto subito con la prima domanda. Nei suoi libri lei dice di avere a che fare più con la vita che con la morte. Ci può chiarire questo punto?
I think a good thriller always tells you more about life than about death because the cruelty or the cold water that the main character is smashed in, this is the exception. But it makes you fight, and for some reasons. You want to get the order back again. You want to live. For what reasons? You have to ask the questions. Why do you want to live? For what for? What are your goals in life? What do you want to achieve? And life always becomes more relevant when you face death. And so maybe 10% of my books, it's about cruelty and death, but 90%, it's about the life that you want to get back again.
Ora vorrei chiederle qualcosa sulla struttura del libro. Ci sono diversi punti di vista e molti flashback. Nonostante tutto il ritmo si mantiene molto alto. Questo da una parte ci induce a continuare e dall'altra parte accresce la tensione. Può spiegarci se in questo intento di spingersi verso il pregresso ci sia anche una volontà di ammonire il lettore ad andare sempre più giù, alle cosiddette radici del male?
Again, I have to say that my first intention is always to entertain the reader and to give a story which you never heard before in a way that is never written before. So my books are totally different. And then there are other intentions, of course. I have topics which are really relevant to me, and the question, for example, which is relevant to me is the bad something which everybody takes in us? Can everybody become bad? Or is it only by circumstances? But this is not my intention in the first place. I don't write a story where you say, hey, now I have to tell you something. I'm only a writer, and the only thing that I can try to do is to open up the right questions, but you're gonna have to answer them by yourself.
E sul suo modo di concepire le storie?
Well, my conception of stories is like, it's very easy. I tell stories that I want to hear by myself. I write books that I want to read by my books. And by the way, if you hear a strange sound, this is a bird.
A questo punto sono curiosa di sapere anche le fonti da cui si ispira.
I find and I've found a lot of inspiration in tons of books and tons of films. Of course, like Silence of the Lambs from Thomas Harris inspired me, or like The Usual Suspects, to name a movie, like The Sixth Sense, for example. One of my very first movies who inspired me a lot was Snake Plissken Escape from New York, which is a very old 80s movie with Kurt Russell. If you don't know it, see it, it's incredible. But also Angel Heart with Mickey Rourke. Those were movies which well, I loved. But and books, I couldn't name them. There's so many of them.
Che mi sa dire sulla società contemporanea? È ottimista o pessimista? La gente sa ancora fare del bene o propende solo verso il male?
I'm writing sometimes very cruel things, but I swear I'm a very optimistic guy. And I for sure know that the good is much more existing than the bad. There are much more good people than bad people. My mother, when there were September 11th, she said, well, look at the ones who are helping. There were a few people who managed to keep the whole world in shock, but there were millions of people who tried to help. And professional were like firemen, or police officers, and other helpers, or regular people who just opened their doors for victims and prayed or did anything and wanted to help. They're always more helpers in the world than harmers, and this is the good story.
Intanto la saluto e la ringrazio a nome dei lettori di critica letteraria. E poi un'ultima domanda. Secondo lei, perché i lettori italiani dovrebbero leggere il suo libro?
Well, I think when you open up to a new reading experience, which could be a little bit different to other thrillers that you have read before, then I would recommend you to try one of my books, especially Portami, casa, and I only can cross my fingers that you're going to like it.